Baseball looks simple. Hit the ball, run the bases, score runs. But hidden in the rule book, some of the strangest rules in all of sports. Did you know a catcher can't throw his mask at the ball without giving up free bases? Or that a batter can strike out and still be safe at first? These aren't Little League rules. They're the quirks that make MLB feel more like a puzzle than a game. Let's break down the weirdest ones you probably never noticed. The detached equipment rule. Okay, let's start with one of the weirdest. The detached equipment rule. Imagine you're an outfielder and a line drive is screaming past you. You don't have the speed? No problem. Just toss your glove at it, right? Wrong. MLB has a rule for that. Here's how it works. If a fielder uses detached equipment to touch a batted ball, every runner gets 3 bases. If it's a thrown ball, that's 2 bases. And if it's a pitched ball, 1 base. Yes, that means if a catcher ever yeeted his mask at a passed ball, and people have tried, the runner gets to advance. And the funniest part, this rule exists because players actually used to do this. There's records of catchers flinging their gear at balls in play, and even a pitcher throwing his glove at a line drive. MLB basically said, nope, that's cheating. We're not letting you play dodgeball. So next time you see an outfielder dive and miss by inches, just remember, he probably wanted to throw his hat at it. And now you know why he didn't. From flying gloves to flying arms, let's talk about a rule that had to be invented for one very unique pitcher. The Ambidextrous Pitcher Rule. Ever hear of Pat Venditte? If not, he's the reason the Ambidextrous Pitcher Rule even exists. The guy could pitch with both hands, a literal baseball unicorn. And when he debuted in 2015, chaos broke out. Before this rule, nothing in baseball said a pitcher couldn't switch hands mid-at-bat. Imagine the nightmare. A switch hitter steps in, and every time he flips sides, the pitcher flips arms. You'd have the world's longest at-bat because nobody would stop switching. It's like watching 2 people fight over who gets the last seat on a bus. So, MLB made the rule simple. The pitcher must declare which hand he'll use before the at-bat starts. Once the at-bat begins, he can't switch unless he's injured. And if he switches due to injury, he can't go back to the other arm that game. Venditte also wore a special 6-finger glove so he could swap seamlessly, which was cool until you realized the umps basically had to invent a brand new routine just for him. It's one of those rare times MLB saw something so unique it had to change the rule book overnight. And it makes you wonder, what if more pitchers tried this? Would the rule be different today? Speaking of rules that cause chaos, let's get into one that makes every casual fan, and some players, say, wait, what just happened? The dropped, uncaught third strike rule. This one's so old it dates back to the 1790s, and yet it still confuses fans every single season. The uncaught third strike rule is the reason you sometimes see a batter sprinting to first even though the scoreboard just said strike 3. Here's how it works. If the catcher doesn't catch the third strike and first base is empty, or there are 2 outs, the batter is automatically a runner and can try for first. So yes, you can strike out and still be safe. And here's where it gets weirder. This rule makes it possible for a pitcher to record 4 strikeouts in 1 inning. It's rare, but it's happened more than 90 times in MLB history. That's like getting an extra dessert after you already finished the meal. Why does this rule exist? It forces defenses to actually complete the play. Baseball's early lawmakers didn't want strikeouts to end on a technicality. They wanted outs to be earned. But if you've ever been at a game and heard a fan yell, "He struck out, why is he running?" Now you know. From dropped third strikes to dropped jaws, baseball's rule book is just getting weirder from here. The Infield Fly Rule, the rule that saves runners from disaster. If you've ever watched a game and suddenly heard the umpire yell, "Infield fly, batter's out," while the ball is still in the air, you probably thought, wait, what just happened? Welcome to the Infield Fly Rule, maybe the most misunderstood rule in baseball. Here's the setup. Runners are on first and second, or the bases are loaded with less than 2 outs. The batter pops up a fair ball that an infielder could catch with ordinary effort. In the moment, the batter is automatically out, even if the fielder drops it. Why? Because without this rule, infielders could intentionally let the ball drop, creating easy double or triple plays by forcing the runners. Imagine the chaos. Runners sprinting forward, realizing too late, then being doubled off like it's a little league prank. The rule exists to protect runners from being completely duped. But here's the funny part. Try explaining this rule to a casual fan at the stadium. You'll get blank stares. Some even think it's a make-it-up-on-the-spot rule. And let's be real, the wording ordinary effort feels so vague it might as well say, when the umpire just feels like it. Still, it works. It stops cheap plays and keeps defenses honest. So the next time you hear that call, just nod like you totally get it, even if you secretly don't. From sneaky pop-ups to full-blown trickery, let's move to a rule that's been used in some of baseball's funniest highlight reels: the hidden ball trick rules. If baseball ever had a hidden camera show, it'd be called the hidden ball trick. This one's simple. A fielder pretends he doesn't have the ball, lulls the runner into taking a lead, and then boom, tags him out. Legal? Yep. Embarrassing? Absolutely. But like any good prank, MLB put guardrails around it. The pitcher can't stand on or straddle the rubber without the ball. If he does, that's a balk. He can hang around a mound, but not actually be on the rubber until he has the ball back. And fielders, they can't stuff the ball into their pockets or hats. That's illegal. The ball has to stay in play, just hidden in plain sight. What makes this play legendary is when it works. Runners almost always look foolish. Fans love it, and announcers can't help but laugh. It's the kind of trick you'd expect on a sandlot, not a professional field. So, why doesn't it happen more often? Because, frankly, players are smarter now. Runners rarely take their eyes off the ball. But every once in a while, someone gets caught napping, and when it happens, it's viral gold. From sneaky hidden tricks to fans literally reaching out to become part of the game, let's move on to a rule that's all about keeping the crowd in check. Spectator fan interference rules. Few things in baseball spark more chaos than fan interference. Picture this. A ball's sailing down the foul line, a fielder's stretching out to make a catch, and then a fan leans over the railing and snags it with a beer in the other hand. Cool souvenir? Maybe. Out? Nope. The batter could actually be called out for interference. Here's how it works. If a fan reaches onto the field of play and affects the ball, it's called interference, and the batter can be called out. But if the ball crosses into the stands or spectator area, it's fair game. Fans can grab it without issue. Players can even reach into the stands to make a play, but fans are not allowed to grab or hinder the player. So yes, you can catch a foul ball, but you can't tackle Aaron Judge while he's reaching for it. The most famous case, the 1996 ALCS, when 12-year-old Jeffrey Mayer reached out and pulled Derek Jeter's fly ball into the seats. The umpires called it a home run. The Orioles protested, the Yankees won, and to this day, people debate whether it was robbery or destiny. That's what makes this rule so wild. It balances fan participation with fairness. And honestly, who wouldn't want their moment of fame by changing a playoff game with one grab? Quick pause here. If you're enjoying these deep dives into baseball's strangest rules, make sure to like this video and subscribe. It really helps us keep breaking down the game in ways you've probably never heard before. From fans turning into fielders, let's head into even stranger territory, because the next set of rules gets even more head-scratching. Bizarre balk rules. From fans interfering to pitchers tripping over their own rules, let's talk about the most confusing call in baseball, the balk. You've seen it before. The umpire suddenly waves his arms, the crowd boos, the runners move up a base, and everyone at home mutters, "Wait, what just happened?" Here's the deal. Pitchers can commit a balk in 13 different ways, and some of them sound like bloopers. If a pitcher stands on the rubber without the ball, balk. If he drops the ball while standing there, even by accident, balk. If he starts any motion associated with pitching but doesn't finish the throw, yep, that's a balk too. Basically, if the pitcher does anything that even looks like he's trying to trick the runner, the umpire will call it. And if you thought that was complicated enough, MLB added a new wrinkle in 2020. 2023. Pitchers can only disengage from the rubber twice per plate appearance. Step off or throw over to first too many times, and on the third attempt, if you don't pick the runner off, it's an automatic balk. Talk about adding pressure. It turns the cat and mouse game with base runners into a chess match. The funny thing is, no two balk calls ever look the same, and half the time even the players don't know what happened. It's the kind of rule that keeps runners honest and fans completely confused. From balk chaos to fashion police, let's check out the weirdly specific world of MLB's uniform and equipment rules. Uniform and equipment regulations. You'd think baseball uniforms are simple. Jersey, pants, cleats, done. Nope. MLB has one of the strictest dress codes in sports, and it reads like something out of a school handbook. For starters, all players on a team must wear identical uniforms. Same colors, same trim, same style. No freelancing allowed. And yes, there's rules about numbers too. Every player's number has to be at least 6 inches tall on the back. So if you were hoping to sneak a tiny, stylish number on your jersey, forget it. It gets even pettier. No baseball patterns allowed on uniforms. That means you can't wear gear with little baseballs printed on it. Apparently, MLB thinks that's distracting. Players also can't attach tape or materials of different colors. So the guy with neon pink wristbands trying to stand out? Sorry, not allowed. And here's a strange one. If you get ejected from a game, you can still watch from the stands, but only if you change into street clothes first. Imagine sitting next to a random fan and realizing it's a player who got tossed an inning earlier. The uniform rules are all about professional appearance, but sometimes they feel more like overkill. Still, they keep baseball looking sharp and maybe just a little bit old school. But if uniforms are about looking right, the next rule is about swinging right. And it all started with George Brett losing his mind in one of the most famous meltdowns in MLB history. Pine tar regulations. Ah, yes, pine tar, that sticky substance batters use for grip. It's supposed to stay on the handle of the bat. But in 1983, George Brett turned it into one of the wildest rule moments ever. Here's the rule. Pine tar can't extend more than 18 inches from the base of the bat handle. If it does, the bat is illegal. But, and here's the important part, any hits made with that bat still stand. MLB doesn't erase what already happened. The infamous incident happened when Brett hit a go-ahead home run off Goose Gossage, only for the Yankees to challenge his bat for having too much pine tar. The umps ruled the home run out. Brett stormed out of the dugout like a man possessed, and the clip has lived on ever since. The ruling was later overturned, but the legend of the pine tar game was born. And pitchers? Forget it. They can't use pine tar at all. It's considered an illegal foreign substance. So while batters can get away with sticky bats, pitchers have to find more creative ways to get grip, some legal, some not so much. The pine tar rules are a perfect example of baseball's weird contradictions. You can hit a home run with an illegal bat, but it still counts. Make sense? Not really. But that's baseball. And if you think pine tar drama was wild, wait until you see the next rule. One that changes how games are played without most fans even noticing. Designated hitter peculiarities. From pine tar and Balks to fashion codes, baseball sure loves to complicate things. But if there's one rule that constantly sparks arguments at dinner tables and bar stools, it's the designated hitter. Love it or hate it, the DH has some very peculiar quirks you probably didn't know. For starters, the DH can't just hang out wherever he wants. If he's not in the field, he can't go sit in the bullpen unless he's literally acting as the bullpen catcher. Weird, right? Imagine being told, hey, you can crush home runs, but you don't dare sit in that chair out there. Then there's the Ohtani rule, which is so new it still feels like a beta test. Thanks to Shohei Ohtani's two-way dominance, MLB changed the rules in 2022 to let a starting pitcher stay in the game as DH even after leaving the mound. Before that, teams would lose the DH slot once the pitcher was replaced. Ohtani was too good to fit the old system, so baseball rewrote its own book just for him. How many players in history can say that? Here's the kicker. Once a team loses the DH slot, it's gone forever. No takebacks, no swaps, no, oops, let's fix that. Managers have to be extra careful because one lineup mistake can mean the pitcher has to bat, and no one wants to see a reliever flailing at 98-mile-per-hour fastballs. The DH might sound simple, a hitter who doesn't field, but its rules show how even the most straightforward positions in baseball can get tangled up in technicalities. From one of the game's newest tweaks, let's head back to a rule that's been around forever, but still confuses everyone in the stands when it happens. The ground rule double. Ground rule double oddity. Few moments in baseball are more anticlimactic than when a screaming line drive bounces over the fence and instead of rounding the bases, the batter just trots to second. That's the ground rule double. Though here's a fun fact. Most of the time, it's not even a ground rule at all. What fans usually see is an automatic double, written into MLB's universal rulebook. Ball bounces over the wall, 2 bases, no matter what. But here's where it gets weird. Before 1931, that exact same play would have been a home run. So if Babe Ruth played a decade earlier, who knows how many more dingers he would have stacked on his already legendary total. And this 2-base thing is absolute. It doesn't matter if the runner on first had a head start and could have scored easily. Doesn't matter if the batter was already halfway to third. The rule says 2 bases. Period. In some ways, it's baseball's way of saying, sorry, we're not here for logic. Occasionally, true ballpark-specific ground rules come into play, like quirky stadium features where balls can get lodged or ricochet oddly. But the majority of what fans call ground rule doubles are really just standardized automatic doubles. It's one of those rules that has fans yelling, wait, why can't he score? And the only answer is because baseball says so. And speaking of things that confuse fans, let's finish this stretch with one of the strangest quirks of all. What happens when the umpires themselves get in the way? Umpire interference scenarios. Baseball loves its traditions, but sometimes the very people meant to enforce the rules end up becoming part of the play. Literally. That's where umpire interference comes in, and it has its own surprisingly specific set of rules. Here's one. If a field umpire gets hit by a batted ball before it passes an infielder, the play is dead. The batter automatically goes to first, and runners move up if forced. Basically, the ump accidentally became a human wall, so the batter gets rewarded. Now, if the plate umpire interferes with the catcher's throw on a steal attempt, the runners go back to where they started. It's as if MLB's saying, yeah, sorry about that, let's rewind the tape. But here's the twist. If the ball passes the fielder first, then hits the umpire, that's just part of the game. Live ball, play on. Tough luck. Imagine training your whole life only to lose a hit because the umpire happened to be standing in the wrong place. It's one of those rules that makes sense once you hear it, but in the moment, it's chaos. Players are throwing up their hands, managers are screaming, and the fans have no idea what just happened. So whether it's Balks, Pine Tar, or umpires accidentally joining a defense, MLB quirks prove one thing. Baseball isn't just a game of skill. It's a game of rules. Sometimes too many rules. And there you have it, some of the strangest, funniest, and flat-out confusing rules in Major League Baseball. Now it's your turn. Which of these weird rules surprised you the most? And what should we break down next? More strange MLB rules or the quirkiest rules from other sports? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button if you learned something new, and subscribe so you don't miss the next dive into the hidden side of sports. Because if baseball's taught us anything, the strangest rules often lead to the best stories.